The world is a stage, and the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and they have their entrances. And one man in his time has many parts. So said William Shakespeare. But what happens when a schizophrenic has a conversation with Shakespeare? You get me, and who am I? I'm the merchant of madness. I'm here to sell you madness. I even have a license for it. It was given to me in 2002, just before my 22nd birthday. I know I look very young. I told them I was immortal. They call me crazy. But it was given to me in the form of a hospital discharge card. Here you go. You have paranoid schizophrenia. I mean, what the hell is that? Now, my father, being a scientist, couldn't even pronounce schizophrenia. He's like, I've never heard of this one. Let me check my books. But it was presented to me in the form of a card, and I realized my entire world just collapsed. But I'm not going to tell you that story, you know? It's not really relevant for me today. I'm going to fast forward and take you ahead. Because you also have an adjective called schizophrenic. And schizophrenic means I'm only a label, and I'm not a person anymore. So I did something to this disorder. Psychiatrists call it the most debilitating human mind or brain condition in the world. It's the father of all disorders. Wonderful. I have depression, anxiety, dissociative, depersonalizations, hallucinations, delusions of persecutions, delusions of grandiose. Name it and I have that disorder. I have a disorder for every single day of my life in every single hour. And it's called a mental illness. And I consider that a problem because in 200 years of this mental illness existing in this world, there are no known recovered cases of people with schizophrenia. I wonder why. I really wonder why. So, in my condition of having schizophrenia, I was just told that you'll be given medications for the rest of your life. This is what it is because I don't know. The doctor says, we don't know whether you will recover. There's absolutely no hope, absolutely no cure. You'll just have to take it and we just got to wait and see. Fast forward a little bit. But a friend came along very recently actually, and I'm going to tell you about my friend, a very special friend. I met him early this year, but I also lost him pretty recently. His name is Jake, and he taught me a lot of things about life that I think everybody should also hear. So I'm actually talking on behalf of Jake. And Jake gave me the most magical moments in my life. I could tell him stuff that I couldn't tell anybody, and he would know about it. I didn't have to speak. I didn't have to use English or Hindi or Marathi or some other language on this earth to communicate to Jake. He simply knew, and it's a very different concept than understanding. Jake just accepted me for who I am. Jake taught me stuff about the spiritual. He taught me how to howl. He taught me how to eat my food in the most aware, alert space under a tree. He taught me about birds. He taught me about hugging trees. He taught me about love. He taught me about kindness. He taught me about imagination. He taught me about the power of imagination and the possibilities that exist and the things that you can do with it. But I kind of lost Jake, and he went into a different realm, I would say. He told me that when people cross over to the other side, the rainbows move. And I said, wow, that's really beautiful and profound. But I had to learn what it meant. Now, like Jake, I had many other friends like him. I had a friend, Kylie, she was 8 years old. And I also lost her, and she taught me a lot of other stuff. Before Kylie, I had a friend by the name of Stephen. And I had Stephen when I was a kid then, not a kid now, right? When I was a kid at this age. But I didn't know who Stephen was, and I never really paid attention to what he had to teach me. Now, the trouble with the difference between Stephen and Jake is, with Jake, I can tell you about him because now you're listening to me. And I have to always remind people, you do know I've got paranoid schizophrenia. If you look at me like this, it's woo. But then I get to use TEDx as an excuse for you looking at me and me feeling paranoid. But unlike Jake, that I can talk about right now, I couldn't talk about Stephen in the same way because I didn't have the right tools. I didn't have the same strategy to sell it to you, and I didn't look so well. The problem of schizophrenia was when I actually started telling people about Stephen. You see, Stephen, Kylie, and Jake have something in common that none of you know about. You guys can't see them. Only I can see them. And they've been with me for a very, very long time in my life. And they go and they come. But they taught me something about schizophrenia that nobody will. There will be a group of people who will call it a debilitating mental illness and offer me no cure. There'll be a group of other people who will offer me no hope. There'll be a group of men who we call men of God, who hear voices and see things, and they consider it a gift. But when someone like me hears voices and see things, it's called a mental illness. The difference between me and a man of God is everybody worships him. The difference between me is when I have an imaginary friend, you call it a delusion. When society has an imaginary friend, it's called religion, right? We live in that society. And I didn't say that quote, okay? I stole that quote from somebody else with schizophrenia, obviously. We just borrow it from the universal consciousness, it's called. I hear voices for a living. I don't get paid for it. I also hear voices because some of them are sexy. So you can call me up, I'll tell you whether you're sexy or not. But I also hear voices because I'm a good listener. And I don't know how many people really listen. Because all Jake did was listen. Now, another thing about Jake, he's 4 years old. How do you think I even spoke to Jake? He wouldn't understand English. He wouldn't understand the words I use in English. Because he just heard from here, not the mic, my heart. He just heard from here. And he said, if only people heard each other from here, that's where healing starts. And that's where all the ideas that we want to have come true, that's where it comes from. Our imaginations and our suffering and all of it, we might think it's over here, but it's really linked up over here. If you think cancer is an illness, if you think heart attack is an illness, if you think diabetes is an illness, if you think schizophrenia, anxiety, depression, go on naming it, and I'm going to say, okay, fine, it's an illness at some level for you. For me, I look at it differently, because I look at the fact that when we go back home, there's one thing we look for. We look to feel belonged in this world. No matter what we do, no matter what we sell, no matter what we talk about, we look to feel belonged. And if you don't feel belonged, you're going to feel mad because somebody else is deciding that madness for you. Somebody else is deciding what is normal and what is abnormal. In fact, that's the only time when you open a book on psychology, the word is actually used. That's normal and that's abnormal, so I'm abnormal. You see, in a crowd of 100 people, I'm the only schizophrenic, so I'm abnormal. But if I take you all to an asylum with 2,000 schizophrenics, you're all mad. Madness is relative. It's a matter of perspective. People ask me who I am again, and I say I'm an alien from a different planet. Now you like me because of the way I look. You listen to me also because I'm, of course, standing on a stage. You have no other choice but to listen to me. But 20 years back, nobody wanted to listen to me. All these side effects, with saliva drooling out of my mouth, 30 kgs, overweight, I couldn't speak a word. I lost my ability to count. Nobody wanted to listen to the schizophrenic for some very strange reason. People fear the schizophrenic more than the rapist or the creep next door. And I really think it's strange. I asked myself, wow, that's pretty strange. I've not raped any of you. I've not molested any of you. But Jake taught me something important. He said that understanding someone is not about talking to them. People are a bit confused. The minute we become adults, we lose it all because our ego comes in. And a 4-year-old like Jake tells me that I don't need to understand you. You don't need to tell me your problems for me to understand you. As long as I accept you, period. I don't have to make the effort to understand you. The thing with fear, the thing with Jake, the thing with all my imaginary friends is they can be pretty annoying. We have the most horrible yet profound conversations on earth. And it comes with an element of fear because it's not easy, of course. It's not easy being schizophrenic in a world that is already mad. You know why? Because people like the schizophrenic. We give you guys something to think of. Schizophrenics make the community feel better about themselves because there's somebody else to blame the madness for, right? A bunch of people sitting inside asylums who don't see the day of lights. They're lost in there for hours, for lives, for their entire lives actually. For some strange reason, our families lock us up and hide us inside our walls. I don't know why, but you don't hide the rapist inside a wall. It's odd, because everybody's prone to the same condition. Everybody's prone to the same suffering that I'm prone to, whether it's schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, epilepsy, you name it. Each and every one of us is suffering inside of here. And one fine day, it just burst open, and your mind starts running loose. And I think schizophrenia is a gift for me, because it freed my mind up. It freed my mind up from this stupid constructions that the world around me placed. It freed my mind up from these preconceived notions I had about myself and about love and about everything else that I learned. It made me unlearn a lot of things because I had no choice, and it's a wonderful thing. Sometimes it's a wonderful thing when you are thrown into that position. You have no choice. You just have to listen to all the voices in your head. Well, Lord Ganesha does that. No, but you're not Lord Ganesha. You don't have the elephant head. Okay. All I had to do was get an elephant head and get a punch. I don't want that. I like the way I look. When people ask me what is schizophrenia, I just tell them it's uncertainty. Schizophrenia is this uncertainty living inside of you all throughout your life, every single day. I don't know what I'm saying on stage until I walk up. I never know. My rehearsal was something else, what I'm speaking is something else, and what I'm going to walk out with, I'm going to be someone else. Because when I met a quantum physicist, and she asked me, where are you from? I said, I'm an alien from a different planet. She's like, oh, tell me more. I want to know more about your planet. I'm a quantum physicist. You know, only a quantum physicist will tell me that. Because in her studies, she tells me that there's something known as dark energy and dark matter. And the human world as we know it, or the universe as we know it, is just 5% of what we know. And there's an entire other percentage that you can count that we don't know. That's the amount of uncertainty that we don't have in our lives, and that to me is also schizophrenia. But we're so driven with this fact that can we point it, can we prove it? What is this that you're having? And schizophrenia is never going to leave me. You will never find a cure for it. Maybe you'll find a way to live with it through medications and other forms of treatment. But I started asking myself, why not? First I asked, why me? Why put me in this position that I need to have like the most craziest mental illness on earth, where society marginalizes, stigmatizes, removes all our rights, locks us away, rejects us at so many levels. Why me? Then I said, why not me? I've been given a job to do. People ask me who I am. I say, well, let's see. I'm an artist, I'm a writer, I'm a protagonist, I'm a speaker, I'm a part-time professor, I'm a part-time lover, I'm a full-time child, I'm a full-time, I don't know, so many things, right? I can be many things, but there's just one thing I know that I came into this universe with, and I came as an alien. Because I came in as an alien when schizophrenia hit me and decided to sort of empty my mind completely, whoosh, remove it all. Almost like an entire mind-brain detox. People pay a lot for Vipassana, you know, I didn't have to pay for it. And I got it free, I really got it free. Hallucinations, fukat mein milta hai. Everybody has to do drugs for it, I get it free. But why am I an alien again? And I'm not the only one who calls myself an alien. In fact, I know a lot of people having schizophrenia and other forms of mental illness, we all refer to ourselves as alien because we live in this world that makes us feel very alien, very alienated for who we are. We don't belong anywhere. And then we come to a conclusion that, okay, fine, I will not belong anywhere. But that's not true because we all want to feel belonged and we all want to fit in somewhere. My question is, who then is mad? We're all chasing these dreams and we're all chasing all kinds of things in this world. But yet we want to fit in somewhere and we want to belong somewhere. Is it with someone or is it with something? I don't know anymore. What is this place that we call home? And Jake told me, Home is really what love is. But humans don't know how to love. They come with a series of expectations, a series of notions, a series of a lot of different things. And what I also learned from Jake is, what I learned from an imaginary friend that I'm telling you about is the best way to really accept someone is to simply be there when they're experiencing a reaction that you don't understand. And every human reacts to certain life stresses or trauma in the most craziest of manner. And they will express it in the most fearful of manner. And how are you going to be there for them? That is love. That is acceptance. And at that point, there is no need to understand when you can accept them in their fear. That to me is also schizophrenia. Because my madness accepts your madness. Whatever that madness may be, you don't even need to talk about it. It's a matter of communication. Perhaps you understand schizophrenia because I'm communicating it in English, but tomorrow there might be somebody else who has schizophrenia who doesn't speak English and perhaps just doesn't speak. And the question is, how are you going to listen to this person? Could you be Jake or could you be an adult? And that's what I learned from Jake. Because when we are growing up, people tell us to chase our dreams. Well, at least my parents did. But they also told me to chase their dreams. How unfortunate. But they tell us to chase our dreams. And then I asked a friend. I actually asked a real friend. Okay, no kidding, she's real. I asked her, so, what happens when the characters in your dream state come alive? And she said, well, your dreams come true. I said, good, you just answered my schizophrenia and what it means. My dreams come true. The only difference between me and the outside world is I dream with my eyes open. When you dream, when you're sleeping, you're only dreaming with your eyes closed. For me, my cactus and my dream world has come out. I'm a wolf that howls, or I'm the same imaginary friend. Just listen to the other person over here, and you're good to go for the rest of your life, because it's really the main question. How will you accept somebody else's madness? Thank you.